Hi, everyone. Dan Rothert. We'll start here in a minute or two as people are still jumping on. All right. Hi, everyone. It's 8 o'clock. Dan Rothert, top student athlete recruiting here. I'm going to share my screen and I know people will jump on as we get going. But I want to talk today about college soccer ID camps and if they're a worthwhile investment or if they're a scam or if it's somewhere in between. I'm pretty opinionated on ID camps. For those who don't know me, um, I think a lot of ID camps don't get players any traction. There's a lot of wasted money, time, and energy on the ID camp scene. I think there are some camps that can be worthwhile. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about some things to look for, some questions to ask, and things that can help identify camps that might be good fits if you think you need to go to camps. I personally don't think um, recruiting ID camps are the end all be all. Certainly, there is a time and place for those, but not very often do I think it's the where recruiting happens. It happens. Coaches see you play, do the right things to market yourself, things like this. So we'll talk about it here and get into it. If you do have questions, put them in the chat or the Q&A at the bottom. I'll get to those. I'll look at them probably at the end of the presentation. I may answer your questions along the way. If you don't know me, I was a longtime coach in college. I coached a couple different places, but mostly my last stop was at Loras College in Dubuque, Iowa, where I live. I coach Dubuque Senior High School. Um, I coach in the Iowa ODP program, and then I've been helping student athletes and their families in the recruiting process for the past 6 years when I started top student athlete recruiting. And it's been fantastic and helped a lot of kids land at some great college experiences and ultimately help them find their best 4 years. If you have questions after this event, webinar, and you want to reach out to me personally, feel free to email me or give me a call or a text, and I'm certainly meet with you and chat with you a little bit more about questions. But want to bring a little more clarity to this process and go from there. So that's just a little bit about me. Had a lot of success as a college coach, and want to bring that experience to people in this process. So let's start with the beginning. How do camps and coaches get your email addresses to invite you? Well, if you're emailing college coaches, which is preferred method of telling coaches about you, um, they're going to get your email and they're going to put it into their system and they're going to be able to invite you to camps. But if you're going to club tournaments or showcases with your team, um, those clubs are a lot of time, or those tournaments and showcases are a lot of times selling your contact information to organizations like NCSA, which I don't particularly like. But it's a huge company, it's a big database, and then they email blast you camps or things like that. So the clubs or the tournaments are making commission selling your name or your email address. It's big business. And so it just continues to cycle through, and that's how they get your names. Or or you sign up or you email a coach at a camp. This is a coach's name list of a showcase. These are who's going to be at a particular showcase. You email this coach, tell them you're going to be at that event. They get your name. They can, but you also register for the tournament, and the tournament has your name, and they're going to be able to sell those names to other people. So it's a big uh, how one thing leads to another pyramid scheme, if you will. So Yeah, there's different kinds of types of college soccer camps. There's the big company ID camps. I call them company, right? They're owned by a company. Exact Sports, uh, Prospect Showcases, Soccer Masters, Totally About It, Future 500. These companies all make money in this scene. They get college coaches to come to their events. They pay the college coaches to be at their events and run the events for them. Usually, an assistant coach, usually a third assistant. It doesn't make much money. Um, and then they take anybody. So the level of play is not great because they'll take anybody that wants to play. So there could be super high level players there, and there could be bad players there. And so because there isn't a way to distinguish levels of play, they become complicated. Now a lot of these are high pressure. They'll say you'll see things like, "We're running out of space. You better sign up soon," or "All these coaches are attending our event." Some of it is virtual. They'll say these coaches are attending, but a lot of them are signed up to be there virtually, online, watch the games. That's a bunch of BS if you're asking me. No one's watching those games virtually to see if you're playing. The level of play is not good. I mean, people aren't even wearing shin guards and those types of things. And we'll talk about that momentarily. But I don't love these types of camps. Um, Actually, I really don't like them at all. I think there's not much value in them, and a lot of people chase them, and they're expensive. They can be $500 or, for a 2 day camp. I would not go to these camps. I'm just telling you. This is an idea of this is a college prospects camp. They get a coach to send out letters. They do it for the coach. They'll say, "Coach, give me your emailing list," or "We're going to send to all these kids." I'm a high school coach, so this was sent to a kid on my team. He's not even on my team at my high school. He didn't play since I've been coaching there. He goes to school, and it's a letter that says, "Hey, we want you to look at our school. Come to our camp," and it's $500 for 2 sessions during the day. 250 in the morning, 250 in the afternoon. It has this barcode on here. It's a dead giveaway that it's a mass mailer. And when they make it look really personal, and you don't get mail very often, they put the school logo on it. Um, just don't waste your time. I'm telling you, it might say these 5 other schools are attending. It's usually an assistant coach that's not getting paid. Sometimes it's an alumni that has no uh, rating in the recruiting process. They just say we're going to send this alumni. Here's one I saw today. One of my clients, kids I work with, sent me this. Um, this is another one from that same camp company. It was sent by Jay Adams, who's the national recruiting director. I looked up Jay Adams. He's a baseball coach. They do this for every sport. So this company's making mega bucks, but there's a lot of things in here. This is your last chance to register. All right, there are less than 5 total spots remaining for our showcase, several positions. Don't wait another day to secure your spot. And then they have 35 soccer camps across the country, and then they have it for every sport. But this is seriously like, I think it's almost criminal. Personal invite, limited space. Like they're just trying to get people to sign up, but put the pressure on you that you're going to miss out if you're not going to their event. So those types of events, I don't love them at all. I don't like them. That's what I should say. Since I don't love them, I don't like them. There's big elite Division I college soccer camps that I do not like. All right, you'll see here, St. Louis University, Denver. Those are two like top Division I programs. And the recruiting process is different. I have a player at Denver. He never went to their camp. I promise you. All right, he was recruited straight from MLS Next. He didn't go to a camp. Now they have other coaches at their camps, and there can be some value in that. But for top schools, top Division I, recruiting process is different. Right? They're watching kids play through their clubs, and their camps are super expensive. And typically, they have 4 or 5 assistant coaches on their team. Now, the top head coach makes a good amount of money. The assistant coach, probably doesn't make that much. And then there's 2 other assistant coaches. One might be a volunteer, and that volunteer, their sole job is to get kids to come to the camp, and that's how they make money. They're called the camp director. All right, and so they basically hire another staff member and pay them straight from camps. So they market it to everybody. They blast this email out to everybody they can possibly get their hands on in hopes they get big, big numbers so they can pay for assistant coaches. And they're not recruiting from them. This is an email from a high level Division One. It's copy and pasted. I retracted the names. First dead giveaway is right here. It's from coach at ncsa.com. So this coach hired NCSA to blast it to every kid on their list. All right. So it's not even from the coach, from the coach's email. I hope this email finds you well. I am such and such. I'm the assistant coach at this school. I'm writing to express our excitement and admiration for your outstanding performance this fall. Come on. I had 20 kids on my list that I work with all get the same email. They all told me about it. Right. They weren't congratulating them on the outstanding performance. All right. We've been following your progress and thrilled to see how great you are doing. What a crock, right? So you got to be able to read between the lines. And it goes on and on with stuff like that. We're playing on ESPN Plus, watch our games. We're extending an invite to come to our camp in October. It's a unique opportunity to interact with our staff. He even gives his phone number down here. You can contact me via text at blank. Well, guess what? This assistant coach doesn't make any money. He's a volunteer assistant. And if you go to their camp, he makes $500. Right? Of course, he's going to leave a phone number and he'll text you back. Right? I always say for things like this, if you're not sure, send the coach an email back, or a text and say, "Hey, coach, can we set up a time to talk on the phone?" Now, I even know sometimes these guys will call you and talk to you on the phone for 10 minutes. All right, because again, $500 for 10 minutes of getting you to do that can be valuable. Now, I don't want to be the super negative guy, but I get super frustrated at things like this. Again, he's congratulating people on their outstanding performance. We believe you have what it takes to make a significant impact on our team. There's no way. The amount of kids that I work with that think they're getting recruited by this school when they get this email is it's really off the charts. And I have to break their heart, right? No, you're not getting recruited. I know 20 other kids that I work with that are getting that email. And I know your level of play and it's not quite that good. So you got to read between the lines. You got to ask the right questions. Ask for a phone call. And if they don't give you a phone call back, then there's no way they're interested, right? So, but you read between the lines and make sure you know what's a mass email and what's not. Those are things that are happening. So, are college coaches scamming you? You know, I think in some respect they are sometimes, right? I think this is another one. I came across your this is today from one of my clients. I came across your profile on NCSA, and based on what you're looking for in our next class, I wanted to reach out and share some information. Now we're looking for guys like yourself in 2026 based on your GPA. All right, there's a little bit here that might make it seem interesting. This is a flight for this kid. He's got to fly there. It's in a month. He has to get into the school. The school is really academically challenging. You have to have a 4.0 to get in this school and like a 33 ACT. So there's some things here that are kind of red flags to me. But again, I think he should. This one's a little more, less clear. It's a smaller Division III school, good program. I think you should ask the coach, "Hey, coach, can we have a phone call and can you look at my transcripts? Can you tell me if I'm going to get admitted if I decide to go there? And can we have a phone call before I decide to go out there?" It's a little bit more clear picture than the other one that's from a big school, but I still wouldn't go until I had a conversation with that coach. So what are less scammy camps, in my opinion? All right, individual college camps. Those are less scammy. A conglomerate of similar college camps, like there are some coaches that put together a camp and they're going to have 10 head coaches of very similar schools, like a elite academic or engineering schools, and they're all going to get together and have their own camp. And so a lot of college coaches can see kids that are of similar academic interest and that fits their profile. Those are could be decent. Ones where coaches aren't paid to be there. All right. When coaches are paid to be there, Like a lot of these camps, they'll pay coaches a hefty amount of money to have their name on that sheet. Hey, what coaches are going to be there? Well, these coaches have said they're going to be here. Well, if they're paying all those coaches, then they probably don't care if they're recruiting. They're making 500, 1,000, $2,000. I've seen coaches get paid to be at camps. But when it's a camp where, hey, the coaches are invited and they might show up or they will show up because they were just invited, there's good talent there, that's a little bit different of a ball game. Smaller camps can be better, more attention from coaches, and you get a chance to actually interact with them. Huge camps with hundreds of kids, it's going to be hard. And the big schools and these big company camps sometimes have way too many people. You want to go to school out of region. If you want to go to school, you're from the Midwest and you're from Iowa and you want to go to school on the East Coast, you might have to go to camps on the East Coast because the East Coast coaches aren't going to know you because you're not getting in the showcases they're at, the tournaments they're going to be at, things like that. So that is something that you might have to consider. Some of the big schools, they might have the camps you see on their webpage, and then they might have a private camp for the top for 22 kids. I've run across this a lot where a big time Division I coach would call me and say, "Hey Dan, we have a big camp for 22 kids, the top recruits we're trying to bring in. Do you have anybody that fits that profile? And if you do, let us know about them. We might invite them out." And they're trying to get the best kids at those camps. If you get one of those personal when the coach calls you or sends you a note, wants you to go to that could be something. Understanding if you think you are the right level for that level of play, right? You're not getting any interest from Division I schools, and all of a sudden you get camp invites to Division I schools. Again, ask the questions. If you really want to know, email them back, text them, ask them for a phone call, see if they're willing to have that, to find out more about their program and what they like about you. The coach that was asking about, hey, how great you were doing that fall, we were following your progress. Ask him, what do you like about my progress? What do you think I'm doing well? If they can't give you a straight answer, then don't do it. And local, semi-local, regional camps that aren't expensive. I think that's a great starting point. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So start this process by going to some sure thing camps, right? Like schools you can play at, or you think you can play at. I call it reverse engineering this process, right? You don't need to start at the top and then get shut out, and then all of a sudden you have to go to your backup plans. Start, with schools that you think you can play at. Start at the lower levels, and then if that lower level likes you, start reaching, right? Then you stretch it a little bit more, and you stretch it a little bit more. If you know that coach likes you, you can stretch it. So once you have places that want you, then you stretch it further. Get genuine interest before attending the camp. Now, that's a real thing, right? Hey, if you know that the Denver coach saw you play at a showcase and they talked to you and you've had a couple phone calls with them and they say, hey, we need to see you play again. Can you come out to our camp? All right, there's something there. Maybe we need to follow that road a little bit. But even that can be sketchy because again, some coaches will set up a phone call to get your camp money. I've seen it. It's a real thing. All right, but you got to be assertive. You got to ask questions, and you gotta don't just go because you got to email. That's my number one advice. Just don't go just because you got an email invite. Ask questions, get further answers, have some back and forth, and get a phone call. Like I said, the email is easy to hide behind. There's student workers that type the emails for the coaches sometimes. You're not always hearing directly from the coach. That text number that coach was giving out, I guarantee it's a student worker. Guarantee it. So, here's what you say. Hey, coach, thanks for the ID camp invite. I'm very interested in attending. I have a limited budget for camps, but would like to attend. Before I register, I want to see if I can jump on a call so I can learn more about your program, what you're looking for in the class of 2026, and how I might fit in. And then you can, personalize it a little bit more, see what they say. I think that's a great approach, and it can help you get a lot more traction and make sure you're not wasting your money. So can you play at that level? Things you got to ask to yourself. Can you play at that level? Can you get in that school academically? Can you afford that school? You might not know, like, college scholarships for soccer are rarely full rides, or even close to that. Most of the kids I know pay a lot more than that. Pay you know what normal student is paying. Maybe a little scholarship money here and there, but it's not full rides like you see in football and basketball. What is the purpose of the camp for you? Now, if you just want to go to a camp to get better, go for it. There's no problems with that. Um, but again, I don't know if you need to fly across the country and stay in hotels and all these different stuff. Like, know your purpose. Or maybe you're young and you just want to go get the experience of going to a camp. So when you're older and you might have to go to a camp for like a tryout situation, you're better for it, right? That stuff can matter. Um, is the camp the only way the coach can see you? Like I said, if it's far away, you want to go to school on the East Coast, and that's the only way that coach can see you, you need to go to that camp. Like I've had players that have gone, to the East Coast and played in front of coaches, and that's where they got their interest because that coach couldn't see him play anymore. The soccer budgets aren't budgets that allow coaches to get on airplanes and fly all over the country to go see kids play. That's just not how this works. So you might have to go to them if that's the type of school you're looking for. Again, is there real communication between you and the coaching staff? Have they seen you play before? Um, and need to see you play again, like I said before about the camp. So if the camp's the second time they need to see you play or the third time, yeah, they can have value. But make sure there's real communication and know what you're getting into. I have this camp prioritization worksheet. I'll send it to everybody that's on this tonight. Just kind of helps you decide if I should go to this camp or not. Gives you some different questions to ask yourself. Will I get accepted to the schools attending this camp? So you put the camp name here. Have I had real personal communication with the coach? And you rank them, and then you decide, hey, is it worth me going to that camp? Do I have to stay in a hotel? Do I have to fly? How much do I going to spend? I have a player I work with. They flew across the country twice to go to the same camp and got no love, right? Like they were just getting emails, and I'm like, we're just wasting our time. We don't need to be doing that. If you're a goalkeeper, I just quickly talk about goalkeepers. Make sure you ask if they're going to have a goalkeeper coach and you're going to get specific goalkeeper training. I've seen a lot of ID camps where there is not a goalkeeper coach on site, and the goalkeepers really get no love except for the scrimmages, and I don't know that it's helping your cause the whole time. So ask them what the situation is. Make sure there's a goalkeeper coach there and present to train you, but B, evaluate you. But my biggest advice is right here. Start locally or regionally. Save time, energy, and money by starting locally or regionally, getting interest, and then stretching it, like I said before. Start with your local schools. Go to their camps and see if there's interest, right? I coached at Loras and Dubuque. If you live in the area or a couple hours away, go to the Loras camp. And if you get interest from them and they're interested in you, all right, then you can keep stretching up to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, right? Loras is a really strong Division III team, so maybe you can stretch to Division II or stretch to Division I. All right, but if the Loras coaches aren't interested in you, why do you think the Clemson coach is going to be interested? So I think start locally, reasonably, not have to pay for airplane tickets and hotel nights in hotels, and then kind of see where things go. And the other thing you can do is just ask those coaches straight up. Maybe you don't know them. Maybe you can say, "Hey, coach, what level do you think I'm good for? Do you think I should try for the next level? You think I should look at Division 1?" That's something you can really do, and don't be afraid to do that. That's a smart play. It's not. And if the coach doesn't want to tell you because they want to recruit you, that's a good sign. So if a local program is interested, then stretch it, right? So that's a huge deal to me. All right, some other tips. Don't waste your money on camp highlight reels. A lot of these camps, especially like Exact and some of these will offer like a highlight tape and they'll make a highlight of every touch you made. It's a waste of time. All right. The level of play probably isn't great. I've seen those highlight videos. I've had players send them to me, and maybe I'll pull one clip out of them that's real that helps them in their recruiting. You're just wasting your money. Even if you think you're the best player at the camp, it is all relative. Okay. So who you're playing against, and doesn't mean you're going to be recruited by that school. It does not. Um, the camp could not have that many great kids at it, or it could be a tough one. I had camps in the past when I was coaching college where I had no kids that I thought were good enough at that camp to play for me. It happened. So we just moved on. All right. I had other ones where I'd pull three out of them, right? But I was at a smaller place and it was most of my kids were regional. People weren't flying in for it, stuff like that. Have a great highlight video and share it before you attend the camp so the coach knows you are legit and worth watching. All right. They watch the video like, oh, yeah, this kid's legit. I want to watch him play. I can't wait for him to be at camp. And then they have a better eye for you when you show up. That's another thing that can help you out. Look the parts. Please, please, please show up at any ID camp, tryout, um, wearing shin guards and looking like a soccer player, wearing soccer gear. I can't stress that enough. You come into my practice and you don't wear shin guards the first day, or you're not wearing them, and I have to yell at you to go put them on. I already got a bad image in my mind. All right. I want warriors. I want people who are going to go to war, and you got to have shin guards on for that. So just expect it. But look like it. Look the part. Don't be too cool for school. Don't be the kid that doesn't wear shin guards. I see all these camps, exact camps, where I watch a lot of tape. Kids send me tapes from camps, and they're not wearing shin guards. And I don't get it. All right, I'm like, you just put yourself in a bad position. Right? If you're gonna pay all that money, wear shin guards. All right, be vocal at camps. Like communicate. Right on the field, communicate. Be a loud voice. I've picked up kids in my time who are just really good leaders on the field. All right, they weren't the best soccer players in the world, but you could tell they could organize my team. That's the kid I need, right? Um, Off the field, be vocal. Go talk to the coaches, shake their hands, right? Meet the players on the team that are there working the camp and chat with them. You got to go outside your comfort zone sometimes, but it's important. Be assertive. Make sure you get to play your best position. All right. So a lot of times at camps, okay, they only have so many kids that want to play forward. All right, and you know you get left out. You're not forward in the first 30 minutes of the game. You need to go up to the coach and say, hey, coach, I want to, it's a 3 hour camp. Hey coach, can I make sure I get to play forward today? I'm a naturally a forward, or that's what I play. And make sure you get there and you don't get stuck playing outside back the whole time when you're a forward. Make sure you get to the position you want to be. Again, it's sometimes out of your comfort zone, but you can't just expect that camp's going to work out for you if you don't assert yourself. Um, Try to talk to the coaches during the event, before the event. Make sure the coaches know you by name. All right. If they don't know you by name, that's never going to happen for you. All right. So you need to know that the coaches that are watching you know you by name. Go introduce yourself before, talk to them after, reintroduce yourself. Um, Tell them where you're from, ask them some questions about their school. Be memorable. All right. It's a big deal. Hang around and talk to coaches after the event if possible. I would say help the coach clean up. All right, because then coaches are cleaning up the field at the end of the camp, and they're out there an extra 15 minutes, and you're lingering around, and they see you're A, helpful, and B, that hey, maybe I'm going to chat with this kid up, and you start chatting with them, and they like you, and then you move up the list, right? Coaches recruit kids they like, so be a kid that's likable and move up the list. Um, if it's an individual college camp, you're going to a camp, ask the coach if you can get a tour before or after the camp. It might be part of the camp. That happens a lot. Hey, we're going to give you a tour as part of the camp, but maybe go the day before and get an individualized camp or individualized tour. And then the coach really kind of knows you. Or go early in the day or stay early later after the camp. And then that coach kind of knows you really well and you would spend some time with them. And now you're going to show in front of them. And then there's real interest from both sides. And you might move the needle. It might help you move up their rankings with that program and that coach. What to do after the camp? Follow up consistently. Like continue to send follow up emails or text if you're in texting mode with that coach. And if the coach starts texting you back, then that opens the door for you to text them. Up until that point, it's pretty much email. Um, But you need to realize that silence from the coaches after the camp is not a good sign. All right. A lot of times there's a general response. Hey, you need to get more physical and um, you need to play faster. Well, that's pretty much what they tell every kid, right? But if it's not very specific to you, like, hey, we love that great goal you scored, but but we also notice your defense isn't great. That's a little more specific, and they're telling you some things to work on. But if it's pretty general, then it's not really personalized. But coaches are always going to be overly nice and non-committal at camps because they want you to come back to the next camp and maybe make more money. When I was hosting camps, the kids I truly wanted, they knew it during the camp, and I told them at camp, "Hey, we're recruiting you. We want you." And I followed up immediately after the camp. All right. Um, they knew every kid that if you're not getting told that you're getting recruited, I highly doubt you're getting recruited from that camp, right? If you're not getting told that the day of, because they're not going to let that opportunity slip. You're on campus, all right. They're going to tell you that they want. So that's just another rule of thumb with me. So don't keep chasing the same thing. Um, I'm doing another webinar in December. I actually think it's the 21st. Um, it's a college coach Q&A. I'll have a lot of college coaches on it. But if there are questions about camps, and I could go on forever, I could talk about this forever. Or if you ever want to know about a camp, if I think it's worth it or not, send me an email. But if there are questions, shoot them in the Q&A here, and I'll take a look and see if I can answer anything. Otherwise, thanks for joining me. Hopefully that was helpful. And there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I don't think camps are the end all be all, but I think there can be a time and place for them, but it's got to be the right situation. Thank you. I'll stick around for a little bit for some questions. All right. I'm going to call it a night. If anyone has any personal questions, feel free to reach out to me.